Under the blazing lights of Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, two heavyweights stood on the edge of history. The air shimmered with anticipation as thousands of fans filled the arena, their roars echoing through the night like thunder before a storm. In one corner, the pride of New Zealand, Joseph "Loopsole" Parker, draped in white and burgundy, calm and composed, his face carved with the quiet determination of a man who had been overlooked too many times. In the other, the American destroyer, the bronze bomber himself, Deontay Wilder, wearing black and gold, his aura electric with menace, his fists known to erase men from consciousness with a single touch. The announcer's voice boomed through the hall, introducing both warriors, and as they stepped to the center to touch gloves, a chill of destiny ran through the crowd. Parker had come to prove that discipline could dethrone dynamite. Wilder, lean at 213 pounds, but carrying the power of a freight train, was hunting redemption, vengeance, and validation. When the bell rang, the arena snapped to silence for a heartbeat, and then it began, the symphony of violence, precision, and will. The opening rounds were a story of patience and control, a chess match fought with leather and heartbeats. Parker, compact and composed, was first to find rhythm. His right hand landed clean early, a sharp reminder that he was not there to survive. He was there to win. Wilder, usually the hunter, looked cautious, even hesitant, as he stalked with that long reach, but found little success against Parker's tight defense and quick counters. Parker was smart, stepping inside, smothering the power, forcing Wilder to reset over and over. The New Zealander's jab was crisp, his timing impeccable, and his footwork subtle, cutting off the ring and denying Wilder the space to launch that devastating right hand. The bronze bomber's eyes burned with frustration as each round slipped away. The crowd, sensing an upset in the making, murmured in disbelief. Parker's plan was working. Control the distance, control the fight. He fought like a man who had studied every Wilder knockout and knew the exact roads not to walk down. Each exchange was calculated, each feint deliberate, and as the seconds bled away, Parker began to dictate the narrative, writing his dominance in real time. By the middle rounds, the tension had evolved into disbelief. Wilder, the most feared puncher in modern, the New Zealander, fighting for the fourth time in a year, looked fresher, sharper, more prepared for this moment than the former WBC champion who had fought just one round in over 2 years. Parker jabbed to the body, ripped hooks inside, and tied Wilder up before he could unleash his bomb. Every time Wilder cocked his right hand, Parker moved just enough, slipping, rolling, ducking, countering, turning Wilder's biggest weapon into an empty threat. The ringside commentators could feel it too. Something was missing from the American. His legs looked unsteady, his timing off, his confidence eroding with every failed attempt. Parker's overhand right began to find its mark, grazing Wilder's temple, pushing him backward. The bronze bomber was now fighting a ghost, chasing a moment that refused to appear. And for the first time in years, the predator looked unsure of himself. Then came the 8th, and everything began to unravel for Wilder. Parker, smelling vulnerability, pressed forward with controlled aggression. His right hand crashed through Wilder's guard, sending the American stumbling into the ropes. The crowd gasped. This wasn't supposed to happen. Wilder tried to rally, throwing wild overhands that whistled past Parker's head, but the Kiwi stayed calm, picking him apart with surgical precision. Wilder's power had always been his equalizer, but Parker's composure was dismantling him piece by piece. Every flurry from Wilder ended with Parker clinching smartly, killing time, smothering danger, and then returning fire. Wilder's corner shouted for urgency, but their fighters' body language told a different story. Fatigue, frustration, and flashes of disbelief. Parker's combinations flowed freely now, double jabs, hooks to the body, overhands upstairs. Wilder's knees buckled slightly from a sharp right hand, and the crowd roared. The bronze bomber was surviving, not fighting. Parker, calm as ever, controlled every exchange, his face a mask of silent focus. This was not just an upset unfolding. It was a dismantling of myth. The later rounds saw Wilder trying to rediscover himself, but every attempt at revival met the same answer: Parker's precision. The Kiwi had built an unbreakable rhythm, a rhythm that denied Wilder the timing to explode. Wilder's jab flickered without purpose. His right hand looped wide, and each time Parker met him with a stiff counter down the middle. Parker's confidence grew with each passing minute. He began feinting with swagger, circling with authority, even taunting subtly with his eyes, as if to say, "You can't find me tonight." Wilder's famed right hand, the hammer that had felled 42 men, now swung like an echo of its former self, powerful but desperate. Parker kept breaking down the body, mixing levels, using veteran tricks to frustrate the American champion. In the corner, Wilder's team urged him to go for broke, but exhaustion had claimed his legs and hesitation had claimed his mind. Parker wasn't just beating Wilder physically, he was breaking him psychologically, stripping away the aura that had once terrified the division. The bronze bomber looked human again. As the fight drifted into the championship rounds, the realization began to spread through the arena. Joseph Parker was outclassing Deontay Wilder. Every round looked the same. Parker leading, landing, dictating, Wilder throwing, missing, retreating. The crowd, split between shock and admiration, watched history unfold. Parker's jab became a spear, his right hand a scalpel. He was the matador, Wilder the bull running out of charge. Wilder lunged with desperation, but Parker's counters punished him every time. A right hand snapped Wilder's head back. A left hook to the body stole his breath. Wilder tried to hold, to survive, but Parker pried free and pressed on. The commentators called it smart boxing, but it was more than that. It was poetic justice. Parker, once labeled too polite, too cautious, was now the executioner of one of boxing's most feared men. Wilder's corner screamed for him to throw everything, but he had nothing left. The bronze bomber's power was still there, somewhere deep inside, but the timing, the faith, the fire, all gone. When the final round came, it was no longer about knockout power. It was about pride. Parker, ahead on every scorecard, could have coasted. But instead, he chose to finish the fight as he had begun, with courage and control. He walked Wilder down, pushing the former champion back with jabs and feints. The American tried to land one last miracle, swinging that right hand like a prayer, but Parker evaded beautifully, countering with short, compact shots. The crowd stood, sensing the end of an era. In the final minute, Parker landed another clean right hand to the chin, and Wilder stumbled backward once more. The bell rang, and the arena erupted. Parker raised his gloves, not in arrogance, but in relief, in triumph. Wilder, exhausted and expressionless, lifted his own hand weakly, perhaps out of habit, perhaps out of disbelief. Both men had given their bodies, but only one had given his soul. As the ring announcer returned, the world waited for confirmation of what they already knew. The judges' scores read unanimous: 118 to 110, 119 to 109, 120 to 108, all for the winner, Joseph Parker of New Zealand. The crowd exploded as Parker smiled, his team lifting him high. He had not just beaten Deontay Wilder, he had tamed him. In one of the most disciplined, tactical masterclasses in recent heavyweight memory, Parker had rewritten his legacy. No longer just the quiet contender, he was the conqueror, the man who silenced the bomber. Wilder stood motionless, staring into the canvas, realizing that for once, his power had not been enough. He had met a man who refused to fear him, who refused to fall. In that moment, respect filled the ring, respect between two warriors who had shared 12 grueling rounds in the fire. When Parker spoke after the fight, his words carried the calm of victory earned the hard way. "This was my moment," he said, breathless yet composed. "We came with a plan, and we stuck to it. I respect Wilder. He's one of the greatest punchers ever. But tonight was my night. His trainer, Andy Lee, stood beside him, pride written across his face. We didn't come to survive, he added. We came to win. The arena lights dimmed slightly as cameras flashed around them, capturing the joy of triumph and the pain of defeat. Wilder, standing in his corner, nodded in acknowledgement, his eyes distant but humble. The bronze bomber, for all his destruction over the years, had finally been outboxed, outthought, and outwilled. Parker had done what few believed possible. He made the knockout king look ordinary. And so, as the night in Riyadh faded, the echo his victory wasn't about brute force. It was about timing, heart, and courage under fire. Deontay Wilder, though fallen, remained a legend. His right hand still feared, his name still etched in the annals of destruction. But on that night, the bronze bomber met a storm he could not weather. Joseph Parker stood as the calm within that storm, relentless, intelligent, unshaken. The heavyweight division had a new order, a new conversation, and somewhere beneath the Saudi lights, a quiet man from New Zealand reminded the world that boxing is not just about who can hit hardest. It's about who can think sharpest, endure longest, and rise highest when it matters most.